watching the IUP TV News Bulletin, bringing you stories relevant to IUP and the Indiana community on Channel 6 and 20.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this Thursday, September 22nd. I'm Ryan Carter.
And I'm Jasmine Russell, coming to you this evening in association with WIUP News.
In response to numerous student transfers between IUP and Penn Highlands, President Michael Driscoll and Penn Highlands President Steve Nunez signed a new partnership to help students continue post-secondary education. The dual mission program agreement is designed to easily allow students to earn an associate's degree at Penn Highlands before completing a bachelor's degree at IUP. The partnership with IUP is the latest agreement between IUP and Penn Highlands. The program also helps IUP focus to be a student-centered university.
If you have a chance to go to the Oak Grove, you'll see colorful umbrellas displayed along the park. These are a part of the Haven Project, in collaboration with the University College to hold Rain Day.
So Rain Day is Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network. It's a national organization, and they're about reducing sexual assault in general and on college campuses. So we do Rain Day in the fall to show our support for victims and survivors and people impacted by sexual violence. So the umbrellas, the chalkings, all of those came to fruition because of rain, and we want to make sure that we do this in the fall to show our support for our students.
As you see here, colorful the umbrella with quotes, statistics, and words of encouragement. Students use their voices through these umbrellas as a way to show their support for survivors of sexual violence. Earlier this week, Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate, Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman, campaigning in the KCAC, during the rally, Fetterman asked to about 250 supporters if they or someone they knew ever faced a medical challenge in their lives. Fetterman then discussed his own experience after suffering a stroke earlier this year that required time off of holding public events. Sam Bigham, president of IUP's Democrats, said he wants elected officials such as Fetterman who show compassion. Stick around as we have a more in-depth look coming up.
Newly hired teachers in Pennsylvania find themselves needing new qualifications to get in the classroom. Pennsylvania students will no longer need to pass the so-called basic skill test in reading, math, and writing to find themselves a job. While facing a teacher shortage in Pennsylvania in the recent months, Pennsylvania Education Department officials hope this will bring more teachers to the classroom and encourage more students to pursue the career.
For households in Pennsylvania, residents may soon find themselves receiving a relief fund in the future. Governor Tom Wolf has made another pitch to send relief checks to residents of the state who qualify. The relief is said to be funded from the state's COVID-19 relief money. $2,000 could possibly be sent to homes who make $80,000 or less. If the relief checks are passed, almost 250,000 Pennsylvanians will be eligible for these checks. The relief check proposal is facing some pushback from Republicans who would rather divert spending and save money.
The White House released an analysis on how many people in each state stand to benefit from the Student Loan Forgiveness Plan. More than 3.5 million people are eligible for debt cancellation in California and 3 million in North Texas. Borrowers should be able to apply for forgiveness in October and will be eligible for up to $10,000 in cancellation if they didn't receive a Pell Grant. Federal Pell Grants usually are awarded to undergraduate students who display exceptional financial need and have not earned a bachelor's, graduate, or professional degree.
The Lead-Free Project is a project with the coalition of over 55 organizations with the intention to protect children from lead poisoning. The Senate has recently approved the bill, named the Childhood Blood Lead Test Act. Only 1/5 of children under the age of 6 are screened for lead poisoning. The bill would ensure that all pregnant women and children are given screenings for lead poisoning. Pennsylvania leads the country with most lead poisoning test diagnosis, with over 8,000 children affected across the state. The bill awaits for approval of the House Children and Youth Committee.
Hurricane Fiona has swept the Caribbean islands. Hurricane Fiona has now been listed as a Category 3 storm. It has hit land in the Turks and Caicos, Puerto Rico, and Dominican Republic. As the first storm of the season in Puerto Rico, the territory has lost its electricity supply for the island. After dumping 2 feet of rain on the island, the storm has caused 4 deaths but has displaced over 12,400 persons. It has also cut off at least 2 communities. This was all reported by local authorities in the area.
Coming up, caring for our environment the old-fashioned way.
Also, a place where locals and even some IUP students come to cool off.
The Penn Student Newspaper is where students at IUP and members of the surrounding communities can catch up on the latest news about the weather, sports, culture, politics, and everyday events in Indiana. You can find such news articles on their website, thepenn.org. There you can also view their multimedia page full of videos and skits revolving around current trends on campus. Wanting to advertise your business? The Penn has you covered for that as well, with spots in their newspaper and videos. You can access all that and more at thepenn.org.
Natural disasters often remind us of what we can do individually to take care of the planet. Our reporter Adam Warwick shared a story on the efforts to save the environment through recycling.
Pay close attention to the bins in the Oak Grove. You may notice none of them are recycling bins. Although the Oak Grove is not the best place, IUP offers opportunities around campus to recycle. Everyone is familiar with the number of papers you receive and turn in throughout college. All that paper has to end up somewhere, and most of the times it's in landfills. Thanks to the help of students on campus, in 2016, IUP recycled over 87,000 pounds of paper. I talked with IUP students that put an extra effort to reduce waste.
I think recycling is important because a lot of waste in landfills ends up in the oceans and other environmental areas where it can affect animals and ecosystems and things like that.
We should be protecting the earth that we live on. It's obviously not going to be a nice place to live for anybody, including ourselves and the animals, if it's covered in trash. And even like you always see those pictures of the fish in the ocean that have their heads stuck in plastic containers and stuff like that, so it's not good for anybody.
Some students may not know how or what to recycle. There are many regulations to certain items, such as glass bottles need to be cleaned and have all labels removed, or removing paper clips, rubber bands, and other accessories from paper.
Even though IUP provides the ability to recycle, most students don't. They should publicize where and how to recycle.
I don't think students on campus recycle that much because it's not their top priority right now.
I don't think students recycle on campus because if you look around in the Oak Grove, there's not a lot of recycling bins out here. There's just trash cans, and I feel like that's where people throw out most of their trash. But they do offer them inside buildings, but again, I don't know if students actually throw them in there.
Many students may not know in what ways IUP offers in terms of recycling. 51% of waste in residence halls could have been recycled according to IUP's recycling facility.
Yes, I think they do already in a way that they have recycling containers in the different eating facilities and buildings, but I mean, I guess a little more promotion around campus couldn't hurt.
Yes, I think that IUP should promote recycling just to be an environmentally friendly place for students to go. I know as me as a student who tries to recycle, it is difficult to recycle on campus. I find it challenging, and so if they promoted it and made it more accessible, then more people would do it more naturally.
IUP currently has 5 refillable water bottle stations. One is located right here in the HSS building. The other 4 are located in Folgers, Sutton, Robertshaw, and Pierce. This is a good way to cut back on everyday trash. Other ways to cut back on trash is to recycle paper, plastic, and cardboard. You can find these bins in your academic halls.
I use a Brita filter to stop the waste of plastic bottles, and it saves money and the environment.
I use Tupperware whenever I pack lunches sometimes.
I live at home, so my parents, we separate our newspapers from our pop cans and the plastic bottles.
I try to bring reusable containers wherever I go, and so I don't use extra plastic when I can, and so I just provide my own items whenever I go out somewhere instead of using plastic or containers like that whenever I go out to eat or whenever I get a drink at a restaurant or something like that.
Waste has a huge negative impact on the environment. With the help of Darcy, Katie, Cody, Rachel, and yours, we can help reduce the effects. This is Adam Dwork reporting for IUP TV News.
As we say goodbye to summer and welcome the fall season, we're reminded of how beautiful it is here in Western Pennsylvania, with lakes and hills for as far as one can see.
That's right. Recently, our producer Stoker Wyzork visited a place called Robinson Falls, which is located less than 30 minutes away. It's becoming a popular spot in the warmer months, and almost too popular for some. Here's the story.
To some, this may look like a spot that they would go to on a vacation. But believe it or not, it's actually at the southern border of Indiana County. Both locals and even some people from IUP choose to hike here for a rare opportunity: cliff jumping. Located in state game lands near Robinson by the Conemaugh River, locals and visitors like Joe Bloss tell me, quote, the falls are a gem to this area.
Going on a hike, it's not too treacherous the last 2 times, but the previous one was pretty treacherous because part of it's been closed off now.
Landowners are making it clear that they don't want people using those paths anymore. There is also a railroad nearby, but nobody is allowed to walk on it. Now visitors must use another route, all without breaking these rules. Luckily, one exists. Just north of Robinson is a parking area off of Muir Road where visitors park before hiking over 1.5 miles to the falls. Most of the trails are easily accessible, but it can get confusing at times. At one point, the rocky path will go uphill for a bit until you reach a left turn to the tree line. Then it's all downhill through some woods until you meet a stream leading you to the falls. People are advised to use caution when swimming and walking on the rocks. While coming to this area can be a fun and enjoyable experience, you also need to be careful when jumping here, as there are rocks directly below the cliff. To avoid them, you have to leap roughly 8 feet out where the water is just deep enough so that you won't land on anything. Following these steps and precautions can make a fun weekend with memories to last a lifetime. In Indiana County, Stoker Wyzorek, IUP News.
Still ahead, a look at the John Fetterman rally at the KCAC this past Tuesday as the November election gets closer.
Also, a local band that is getting momentum in the world of music. That's next. Going back to the PA Senate race, our producer Stoker Wyzorek has a more in-depth look at the rally held by Democratic Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman.
This fall is an interesting one for Indiana County, as many eyes and ears are pointed towards the candidates running for a position in the Senate come November. On Tuesday, more focusing towards Democrat Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman, who held a campaign rally in the Kowalczyk Center at the Indiana University of Pennsylvania.
If you send me to D.C., I would be that 51st vote that we need.
Fetterman is addressing topics like abortion rights and the importance of unions in the Commonwealth.
You know, as you know, I had a stroke. Dr. Oz tells me about that every day.
Earlier in the year, I talked with Republican Dr. Mehmet Oz about a stroke that Fetterman endured before the primary election.
I'm praying for his rapid recovery. I don't have any details about his current medical situation, but I'm not that worried about him being able to serve our country. I'm more concerned about what he would do, what decisions he would make if he was serving our nation.
Still on health topics, Fetterman also engaged the audience with questions about health care, which he says is a big issue after the Senate passed a bill banning women's abortion rights.
How many of you have had a personal health challenge in their life?
One thing that he didn't address was the recent comments made by President Biden, who told 60 Minutes in an interview that the pandemic is, quote, over.
The pandemic is over. We still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work on it.
Others attending the event, like Sam Bigham, were able to shed some light on the confusion.
Well, I think the pandemic is going to be over when people will stop having severe reactions to COVID and stop dying. And I think we're getting, I'm not a scientist, but I think we're moving towards that with all the vaccinations and the boosters and less severe strains.
Some are also questioning if the steel production that Fetterman is endorsing will have negative environmental effects.
However, I feel that there has to be a healthy balance between industry and, industry has built this country, but I also feel that we have to preserve the environment and do it very carefully.
For now, Fetterman has the lead according to the latest polls, but things don't seem over yet for Dr. Mehmet Oz. In Indiana, Pennsylvania, Stoker Wyzorek, IUP News.
Today is the first day of fall season. For many people, summer is a chance to enjoy cooking out and concerts in the park, as well as getting to know local bands. Our reporter Carrie Young did a story about Fortune Teller, an indie rock band from Pittsburgh.
Kendrick Lamar, Kanye West, Travis Scott. These names and many others seem to be all the buzz in music nowadays. However, hip-hop hasn't always been the top of the music game. To some, it will always be rock and roll. Meet Fortune Teller, an indie rock band formed in Pittsburgh. Comprised of only a drummer and a guitarist, Fortune Teller has been rocking out since 2017, consistently bringing increased attention towards local music.
I'm Giovanni Orsini. I sing and play guitar in Fortune Teller.
My name's JJ Young. I play drums and I sing in Fortune Teller.
Fortune Teller released their self-titled first record in the summer of 2018, and they just recently released their second record, Collapse, back in October of this year. Both JJ and Giovanni have complementary styles, and when asked about their early influences, they both had the same name in mind.
I think probably overall across all projects, Led Zeppelin definitely influenced me a lot, especially playing with JJ in Fortune Teller.
When I found Led Zeppelin, I have a very specific memory. I was with my uncle in the car and Dazed and Confused came on. I had never really noted that drums could be any more complicated than what they were in Beatles songs. And then I heard like the triplet fills that he did. There's one specific part. And I just remember like being really changed by it. So let's grow out my hair really long and try to like just ape John Bonham and everything you do. And
probably just the raw and like the power behind their performances, especially live. And then kind of as I got more into songwriting on my own, a lot of like Jimmy Page's and John Paul Jones like songwriting I've taken a lot from. So I guess kind of over the years it's kind of taken different things.
To coincide with the release of their new album, Fortune Teller held a release show at the Mr. Smalls Theater in Millvale, Pittsburgh, with an outstanding showing of 200 plus attendees. They even have some modern day influence that they credit in their writing.
Now, especially for Fortune Teller, I'd probably say Ty Segall. Most of his projects, especially Fuzz, which I think JJ will probably talk about as well. But
I love everything that Ty makes so much.
To top everything off, Fortune Teller had their newest record printed to vinyl, a lifelong dream of both of the band members. Fortune Teller's new record, Collapse, can be streamed via Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, and many more streaming services. Their vinyl can also be found on their website or at the Attic Record Store in Millvale, PA. This has been Carrie Young with IUP TV News.
Next up, foods to match your moods.
Also, the impact of designated bike lanes in between downtown Indiana and the Robert Shaw parking lot.
Welcome back to another episode of Indie Rockers Fall.
Hey, if you're an IUP student looking for a hands-on experience in the TV studio, then IRB is the place for you. Here the students are fully in charge of hosting live performances for local bands, reviews and educational indies music, guitar lessons, and more. It's a great way to gain experience and do what you love. So how about it? How about joining IRB today? See you then.
When you think of fall foods, what comes to your mind? Maybe cakes, pies, or even cookies? That's a question that our reporter Benjamin Hodell is asking too in this story.
Cake, the ideal dessert for any celebration, ranging from birthdays and weddings to Christmas and National Cake Day. It seems like no matter what you're celebrating, cake is always the way to go for a delicious dessert treat. However, cake is not the only dessert that can be used as a type of celebration. As a matter of fact, many southwestern Pennsylvanians who have Italian, Polish, or Catholic weddings follow a unique tradition known as the cookie table. Generally, the wedding will serve more than 24 types of cookies, ranging from Lady Locks, Pizzelles, to peanut butter blossoms. Almost every cookie you know may be on that table. To get an idea of how important a cookie table is to southwestern Pennsylvanians, Karen Starcher gives us her thoughts.
Cookie table is a Pittsburgh tradition. It was started, I'm not sure why or how long ago, but essentially it is just a table of the variety of cookies so that you can have your guest snack. I know some people put out boxes so that people can take cookies home. But it's a way of kind of blending traditions and bringing everything together at the wedding.
The cookie table was first introduced by immigrants as a way to save money during the Great Depression. Ever since then, the cookie table has remained a tradition for events like weddings and holiday gatherings such as Thanksgiving and Christmas. But how does the tradition continue? Meet Randy. He is an avid baker and has been baking cookies for several years now. He is able to bake dozens of different types of cookies thanks to his skill in the culinary arts.
I was in culinary school at IUP, so I took 4 different baking classes.
Being able to master different types of cookies is no easy task. However, Randy is not alone.
Because there are people with certain allergies and certain tastes, so people don't want to eat just one type of cookie.
Though it seems as though the cookie table is not as well known in other parts of Pennsylvania, Randy speaks about their views of a cookie table.
There's small things to nibble on versus other bigger dessert options.
The tradition has even spread to Youngstown, Ohio, where many people also create cookie tables for weddings and holidays. Even though not many people know about the tradition of cookie tables, it is a long-standing tradition among many people alike. It seems that it is getting some traction, however, as many people can go online and find information about how to create cookie tables. To see if this tradition becomes any more popular, well, we'll have to wait and see. For IUP TV News, this is Benjamin Hodel.
Fall season is also a good time to bike and enjoy the scenery around Pennsylvania. Thanks to more bike lanes around, those who like biking around campus and Indiana area can feel safer. Katie Dodds has her story.
IUP's campus has gotten a lot greener over the last few weeks, and I'm not talking about the trees. I'm talking about those big green bike lanes that have been painted all around campus, extending from the Hoodlebug Trail to the Church Street Bike Station. The bike station offers a place to park as well as tools and instructions you may need to repair your bike if you have a flat tire or a broken chain.
I think they're great. I think they clearly delineate where the route is to go from the end of the Hoodlebug to here to downtown. And also, I'm totally not an unbiased opinion because I'm on the borough council that gave the go-ahead to put the project in, so I really like the project because I voted for it. so yeah, I think it's great. It's now here. It's been a long time. We've been talking about getting a route in for like 6 or 7 years, and so now it's here. So that's what I like about it most, is that it's here.
But not everyone is a fan of the new bike lanes.
So what do I think of the green bike tracks? I'm not a fan. I think that they unnecessarily just closed a bunch of roads to do road work for the sake of inconveniencing drivers, which is really what I feel they do all the time. There's still one of the roads closed over up here on campus that I can't drive around on. It's pretty upsetting. Honestly, I like bikers. If they want to share the roads with us, I'm okay with that. I'm all for it. But I think that they should extend that same courtesy to us. They should really follow the rules of the road. They ride on the sidewalks anyways, which in a big city you can't do, understandably, but at the same time, use some common sense here. If I'm driving and you're in the middle of the road, please just let me pass you. Please don't drive in the middle of the road. Don't ride your bike in the middle of the, like this isn't a music video for Queen, all right?
Drivers and cyclists will just have to get used to sharing the roads. This has been Katie Dotz reporting live for IUP TV News.
Welcome to Folger Hall on the IUP campus. Once used as a dining hall, Folgers has been converted into a student center complete with a pool table, video games, board games, and study space for students to utilize throughout their Students can use this space to catch up on some great programming, study, or grab a bite to eat at Folgers Late Night, serving food until 1 a.m. Come check it out.
If you didn't hear earlier, IUP News is collaborating with our local radio station, 90.1 WIUP FM, where you can also receive up-to-date news made by IUP students coming from multiple communications classes. If you're interested to volunteer and produce local stories with us, please contact one of us on our website at iupnews.godaddysite.com.
IUP Family Weekend is on the way. This weekend, the IUP community will welcome families of all its students. Events will be held throughout the duration of the weekend. One of the popular events being planned is the Alumni Legacy Brunch on Saturday at 8 a.m. in the PNC room at KCAC to recognize IUP parents and grandparents who have graduated from IUP. Also, don't forget the Crimson Hawks will be playing Mercyhurst University at 4 p.m. on Saturday. The game will also include the induction and recognition of various athletes to the Athletic Hall of Fame.
Besides Parents Weekend, IUP will host a gathering for journalism and PR alums. About 140 people are expected to come to commemorate 50 years of accomplishments.
That will do it for this week for IUP News. Next week, we will run a story related to the Haven Project, as well as preparation for Homecoming Week and Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm Ryan Carter.
And I'm Jasmine Russell. On behalf of the IUP News team, we want to thank you for choosing us as your local news source. Don't forget to listen to our news radio every Tuesday at 4 p.m. and our Instagram page at IUP_news. Please take care and good night.